fellow Warning fans, welcome back to Psychology of Rock. If you're new here, my name's Nina, and today we're going to be doing a lyrical deep dive into the track Satisfied off Keep Me Fed. Now, I have an entire playlist of all of the other songs that I've analyzed off the album that I will link in the description box, but I honestly feel like this is one of the biggest sleepers. I think it is a completely underrated track that is not getting nearly enough attention. I know that Ali has said that it's one of her favorite songs off the record, and I can completely understand why. Musically, I just think it's really unique. I love the tone of Dany's guitar, especially during her solo, which I'm just so glad made it into the song. I think the harmonies are really impactful and impressive. I love the melody of the song. I love how Pau and Ali come together to create such a strong backbone for the track. Ali's bass almost sounds like it's growling, and there's just something kind of special and different about the overall feel. I also think that the composition itself perfectly mirrors and supports the lyrics, which we're of course going to talk about in just a moment, but it just kind of goes from feeling really chaotic to really, really desperate. It's almost like the music is fluctuating with the emotions of the protagonist, which I just think is so brilliant. In the clip that the band made about the track, Pau explained that the song is about never being enough for someone and endlessly giving to a relationship and then still feeling like you are lacking in everything. She also said that they wrote the song with Holy Wars, specifically Cat Leon, and that there was an instant connection between them in the writing process where they really felt like she understood what they wanted the direction of the song to be. And as many of you know, one of the things that I love the most about The Warning is that there is definitely a cerebral quality to their lyrics. I think they have this remarkable ability to integrate these complex psychological ideas with their emotional experiences in their writing that really does resonate with people on a very deep level. And I think that Satisfied is a prime example of this. Now, we are of course going to go through the entire song line by line, but a few interesting concepts that stood out to me right away on this track are the psychological toll of perfectionism and self-sacrifice and identity erosion in relationships, as well as some of the themes that we've seen on other songs on the album, like external validation and trying to conform to unattainable expectations. If I had to sum it up in a singular sentence, I would say it's about someone caught in the destructive cycle of trying to please another person at the expense of their own emotional well-being and sense of self. And in typical Warning fashion, I think they convey this theme masterfully in the lyrics. So let's go ahead and go through this song phrase by phrase together so we can analyze it and appreciate it even more. And I just want to give a quick reminder before we start that it is just my own personal interpretation. I am in no way attempting to speak for the band. And of course, with any work of art, there can be multiple valid meanings and interpretations, including whatever the song means to us personally. And as always, I would love to hear your thoughts on the song, so please don't forget to leave them down below in the comments. I think you guys have amazing insights, and I love reading your perspectives and your theories. It's one of my favorite parts of having this channel. So with all of that being said, let's dive into Satisfied. So the first verse starts out with the lines, "You can take all that you want, but it will never be enough. Cut me open, pay attention. On display, I'm bleeding rust." So right away, the song establishes this core theme of inadequacy. And I'm going to assume that it's in terms of some kind of toxic relationship, because this is another theme that keeps popping up all over the album. But here, the protagonist is saying that she's giving everything she has and showing how desperate and vulnerable and exposed she feels, like she's being judged or picked apart. I think using the word rust here is really interesting. It makes me think of something that's been corroded or damaged over a long period of time. So maybe this is a situation that's been going on for a while, or also maybe she's saying that her pain is no longer something she can hide, like she's felt broken on the inside for a long time, but now the pain is visibly leaking out of her. The song then moves on to the pre-chorus that says, like a machine, I will complete, I will obey, I will perfect my every move, my every word, till there is nothing of me left. I think this is an incredibly powerful part of the song. To me, the metaphor of being like a machine shows that she feels like she's lost her humanity and her individuality. I also think these lines point to both perfectionism and external control. She feels like she has to perform flawlessly to earn validation from this person. She's saying that she's willingly giving up who she really is to try to become whatever she thinks this person wants her to be. I feel like this idea of becoming nothing hints at the theme we talked about earlier, which is identity erosion. This is a hallmark of codependent relationships. The individual will start to mold their behavior entirely around the needs or desires of the other person. I think this theme is beautifully illustrated here. And I love this part in the song because I think musically it's a little unexpected how the lines kind of ascend at the end. This part sounds almost hopeful or happy, but lyrically it's really, really dark. I think that the intentional juxtaposition here is so brilliant because it creates the feeling that she thinks what she's doing is a positive thing, when in reality it is completely self-destructive. Just really great contrast here. But then we finally get to the amazing chorus, which starts with the lines, "Can't keep hating you, it's draining." So here she's talking about how emotionally exhausting this whole experience is for her. Hatred, as we all know, can be an all-consuming emotion that completely depletes our mental energy. So I think she's just acknowledging how tired she is and that constantly putting herself through this is unsustainable. She goes on to say, "Please don't say it. I don't care is such an easy lie, is such an easy lie." I think the sentiment is something that we can all relate to, where we pretend that we're apathetic about a situation or a person, but in reality, we really do care, to the point where we even feel obsessed sometimes. And she's right, I don't care is an easy lie. It's a defense mechanism. A lot of times we say it to try to protect ourselves from the pain we're feeling. But here she's saying that this indifference is just a big facade. I think these lines actually show a lot of self-awareness. But then she asks the real question in the song, "Tell me, are you satisfied?" I think this is interesting because it's almost like she's putting the blame entirely on that other person. Like it's just them wanting the relationship to be this way and that she's just going along with everything the way it is to please them, which could be the case here. I think the question itself is both rhetorical and desperate. It shows the power imbalance in the relationship. She's pleading for acknowledgement, but I also think she knows that the answer to the question would likely be no. But I think she's failing to ask herself the same question. Is she really satisfied if this is just going to continuously be an immensely toxic relationship? Again, just a really powerful line. But then we get to the second verse that says, "Piece by piece you take. I'm stuck in atrophy. I'm trapped inside this state. I fade." I think these lines show that, in a way at least, she can see what's happening. She knows what's going on and that the relationship is destructive and that she's really just kind of stuck there. She specifically says that she's fading and that this person is taking pieces of her. So she's telling us that she understands that being in this relationship is slowly eroding her identity and her self-worth. Like this person is chipping away at her, taking away fragments of who she really is or who she used to be before all of this. The word fade makes me think of being like a ghost or a shadow, which I think is a great illustration of how people really can feel in these types of codependent relationships. The song then goes into a repeat of the pre-chorus and the chorus, but before we get to the final repeat of the chorus, there's a little variation on some earlier lines that I think really drives home how she is feeling. She says, "You can take all that you want, but it will never be enough. Piece by piece I break away." So once again, she's kind of echoing her earlier sentiments, but I think there's a little change in tone here. It's like she's finally acknowledging the inherent impossibility of meeting her partner's demands or feeling like she ever could. Because really the song does not make clear if the feeling of never being enough is self-imposed or if it's truly coming from a toxic partner that really isn't ever satisfied with what she's bringing to the relationship. Either way, I think from a psychological perspective, this realization is really, really important because it would be the first step towards breaking free from the cycle and getting out of the relationship and finally healing and moving forward. I mean, you have to understand there's a problem if you ever want to solve it. So while I don't think there is a full resolution here, I do think it shows that there is a potential for one. Now the song finally closes with the chorus sung one last time and ends with a line, "Tell me, are you satisfied?" And I cannot think of a more impactful way to end it. I kind of get the feeling that she's not only asking the question to the other person here, I think that given her seemingly growing awareness in the song, that she might also finally be asking herself if she's really satisfied. And ultimately, I think that's the important question here. Yes, it's important whether or not her partner is truly content with her gradual erosion and the destructive nature of the entire relationship. But I think the internal reflection here might even be more critical because in the end, she's the one that has the power to walk away. So she has to ask herself if she's truly happy with the person that she's become within this relationship. And if she's really okay with sacrificing her identity and well-being just to try to please her partner. And hopefully the answer is no. Just really masterful and poignant writing here. I think honestly, not only is this one of the best songs on the album musically, but also lyrically, unfortunately, I think it's probably one of the ones that is the most relatable. I think many of us know exactly how she feels, either because we've been in this type of toxic relationship ourselves, or we've witnessed someone that we love be in this type of relationship, because sadly, it is a lot more common than we think. And after analyzing the entire album at this point, I do feel like it's at least somewhat of a concept album. Maybe not directly because there isn't one singular overarching narrative, but I do feel like there are several themes that weave their way throughout the entire album that have created this sense of thematic cohesion, which if you're interested, we can talk about in another video. But overall, I think that Satisfied is kind of a hidden gem on the album. So those are my thoughts on the track, but as I said earlier, I would love to hear yours, so please don't forget to leave them down below. Let me know also what song you'd like me to analyze next. I want to thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next video.